Welcome back as we continue our playthrough of the Pathfinder Adventure Card Game. We are in the Storybook Dragon's Demand, and we are ready for scenario 1A, plans going wrong. So basically, some things have gone wrong. A wizard's tower has fallen into ruins, and we have been asked to investigate. So during this scenario, when we encounter a bane, we may succeed at a knowledge or perception 5 check to evade it, and our goal is to close all locations. For banes, for danger, we have a collapse. There are no villains, but we do have henchmen in each location that we need to defeat in order to close that location. And our reward will be getting a hero point for both of our characters. So I've got our characters set up. As far as our locations, for the oubliette, this location, damage you suffer is increased by 1. To close it, we need to succeed at a Constitution or Fortitude 5+1 check, so we'll need a 6 on those. And when closed, we may heal an ally. For the tower, start of your turn, you may examine the top card of a distant location. And to close, succeed at a wisdom or perception of total of 5 for a check. And when closed, you may examine the top card of a distant location. And our third location is the ruin. At this location, when a monster is undefeated, shuffle a new monster into the location. To close, we need to summon and defeat the danger, which we'll take a look at here. And when closed, shuffle a new monster into another location. So my plan is to close the first 2 locations before we take care of this one. And as for the danger of a collapse, we need to either check our dexterity and wisdom, getting a 9, or acrobat's perception, needing a 7. And if undefeated, suffer 1d4 combat damage, then succeed at a strength 6 check or suffer the scourge entangled. So before we get started, we'll draw up our starting hands, drawing the top 4 cards, looking for a weapon, and we definitely have a weapon in our starting hand, so that will work for us. And for Sione, 6 cards, and we will be looking for a spell in her starting hand, which we definitely have. So before we start with advancing the hour, since we're at this location, we can examine the top card of a distant location. So we will look over here and find a barrier waiting for us. So it's going to be a brawl with a check of a strength, dexterity, or melee check, something we're good at. And before acting, each other local character will need to summon and encounter this barrier. So, starting with advancing the hour, we have a prayer with no effect with this as the hour. We will move Amiria over to this location and then encounter this brawl, looking for a strength melee check, which for Amiri would be a D12 plus 2. So we will risk just a D12. After a long roll, we get a 6 plus the 2, so we've got an 8, and we will succeed at defeating this brawl. So put that back in the box. So looking through our hand of cards, we'll go ahead and use our compass to discard and explore again. Finding a zombie. Needing a combat of 11 to beat. The 9 plus this adventure is a 1. So 9, 10, 11. It is immune to mental and poison, and if undefeated, a random character summons and encounters this monster. So for the zombie, We will use our glorious Warhammer. We will reveal to use our strength melee, which is a D12. We'll also get a D8 with this, with a +1. And not really concerned about any of its after-acting power, so we'll just use this for the reveal for those 2 cards. So with these 2 dice, we'll be adding 3. So we've got 10 showing plus 3, so we've got 13. So we will defeat the zombie and remove that from the pile. And we'll go ahead and push on. We'll use this prayer blessing. Discard to examine the top card of your location. Then you may explore. So we'll take a look. We'll see it's a blessing card. And then we'll go ahead and choose to encounter it with our may. So we need a wisdom divine perception of 5. Mary will allow us to use a D6 to try to acquire this card. I'm don't have anything else to boost that with. So a D6 with no pluses, looking for a 5 or better. We get a 1. So we would just remove this from the stack. So going through 3 cards seems like a good turn. So we will draw up to 4. Finding some leather armor and a luck stone. And also with her ability, at the end of your turn, you may move. Any local characters may move with you. We will have her move back to the tower because with that ability, we want to start every one of our turns at that location. So for a Mary, flip over a blessing. On your check against an animal or elemental card, add a D4. We will use her ability to look at the top card of this stack, seeing we have some armor there, needing a Constitution, Diplomacy, or Fortitude of 8 check. And will help us reduce combat damage by 2 if one of us decides to go there. So Sione's Constitution is a D6. Diplomacy would be a D12 plus 2, which seems pretty good. And a Fortitude she does not have. So we'll put that back on top. For her move, we'll go ahead and have her go over to the rune and attempt to acquire this card using Diplomacy. That'll be a D12 plus 2. So we're looking for at least a 6 on this die. See if we can get lucky there. We got what we needed. So she will acquire this card. And then we will look through her deck and see if there's something else we want her to do. We will go ahead and use our Teamster card, discard it so that we can explore again. So we'll take a look at this. We found a keen rapier, needing strength, acrobatics, or melee of 9 or more. This is not something she'll be able to obtain, so we won't even make a check and just discard this from the stack. So our hand, we have 6 cards, so we will draw no more up and just end her turn. Going back to Mary's turn, we'll use the ability of the tower to take a look at the top card here. Giant Bane Great Axe. Strength melee of 12 or more to get. A little excited. Let's see here. For your combat check, reveal to use strength melee plus a D12 plus 1 against a Giant Bane. Add another D8. If proficient, which we are, you may additionally discard to add your strength die. After playing this weapon, you may not play an offhand boon this encounter. So we kind of want to get this. So our strength melee is a D12. No blessings in our hand. Let's see here. But we will go ahead and have Sione discard to bless this check. So we can have 2 D12s. So we've got a total of 19. So we are now the proud owner of a giant bane great axe. And then to end our turn, I forgot to move my mini over here, we will go ahead and just display the leather armor in front of us. You suffer cold or combat damage, you may recharge to reduce by 1, or when you suffer any damage, you may bury to reduce to 2. We'll just put that with her card. We're at 4 cards. We won't draw up, and we will use her ability to move back to the tower. And also forgot on her turn to reveal a blessing. If you're at a wild location, you may discard to explore. That was underground, so it didn't matter. Now that we're caught back up for Sione's turn, we will reveal our hour blessing. When you would discard a boon to bless a dexterity or charisma check, you may recharge it instead. For her move, she will come back over here to the tower and explore, finding a blood bug, needing a combat of 11. If defeated by less than 4 or undefeated, suffer the scourge wounded. So for combat. We have 1 spell in play. So for a combat check, we can banish this to use Arcane plus 2d4. So we'll have a d12 plus 2d4. And if this check is against a monster, ignore its after-acting and powers. Also, if we're proficient, which we are with Arcane, we may succeed at an Arcane or Divine 6 check to recharge this card. Because of her special ability, she will automatically pass that check. So let's go ahead and make our attack roll, looking for, need at least an 11, but a 15 would be nice. So rolling for that. We have 11, 14, 18, plus our Arcane of plus 2, so we have more than enough to defeat this monster without any repercussions. So this card will be recharged. Then we will use our Sage. Discard to examine the top card of your location. Then shuffle the location, then you may explore. So top card would have been a cave lizard. But instead we will put this back in there and shuffle. And return that and go ahead and explore again. Finding a blessing, meaning diplomacy, disable, or divine, which we have a pretty good diplomacy of D12 plus 2. We need a 5 to succeed on this. So that will possibly provide us with, on any check, discard to bless. On a check to acquire, recharge to bless. That's really nice. Or discard to explore. So we need a 5 or better with a D12 plus 2. Let's see what we get here. End up with an 11. So we will acquire this card. I don't want to curse myself, but things are going good. We will draw 2 cards and end her turn. For Amiri's turn, we will look at the top card over here. See, we have a clockwork servant with an intelligence craft of 6 in order to get. That is definitely something Amiri would not be able to get unless he got lucky with the intelligence roll. Sione would have a better chance. So we'll just put that back on top. Instead of moving, we'll just keep Amiri where she's at. Looking at her blessing first. On your bless check, you may re-roll any dice showing. And have her explore this location. Quarterstaff of Vaulting. So strength melee of 8 or higher, or acrobatics of 6. So we'll just go ahead and attempt with our strength melee with a D12, needing an 8. So we would need a 6 or better on this. We have a 5, so that would just give us a 7. Not enough to obtain this, but not too bothered with just getting that out of the way. Let's see. And we don't have anything to help us any further, so we'll just end the turn there. Going into Sione's turn. She'll start by examining over here. Staff of Minor Healing. Needing Wisdom Divine, which is just a D6 for her. This is definitely something I would like to have. So unfortunately, I want Sione over here for what's hidden there and over here. So start of her turn, before we move, we will go ahead and just give this card to Amiri. And then we will move over here to attempt getting the Staff of Minor Healing. Using our blessing we received last turn. So on a check to acquire, we can recharge to bless. So we will go ahead and recharge this card. So that's going to allow us to have 2d6. So we obtained a 7. That's exactly what we needed to get a Staff of Minor Healing. And I don't see any reason why not to use it now. So we'll go ahead and recharge to heal a local character a card. So we'll put that on the bottom of our deck. And we will heal this blessing. So that will get shuffled into our deck. And we'll just go ahead and end our turn, drawing 2 more cards. And once again, I forgot on the previous turn to put out a blessing. So that was for Sione's turn. Sorry about that. It's a habit I need to catch back up on or get rid of. For Mary, well, we know what's over here, so we'll take a look what's over at the ruin. We've got Naughty Nobles, needing Charisma or Diplomacy of 7. So once again, something we need Sione to work out. So she will stay where she's at. Oh, remember to flip the hour this time. Your check to close or to guard. Add a D4. And we will have her explore here, finding a mirror image, something we would like to have obtained for Sione, but Amiri has no chance of getting this, so we'll just go ahead and discard that. And since we have 5 cards in hand, we'll go ahead and just display this card. And we'll discard our battle axe so that we can draw a card and hopefully get something like a horse to help us out next turn. So for Sione's turn, reveal her blessing. You may avenge by discarding a card. And I think we'll go ahead and just move her over here to work on getting a clockwork servant. So we need intelligence or craft of a D6. Her intelligence is a D8. So we can see what we can get on that roll. Looking for a 6 or above. We have a 5. So that will not be enough. So the servant will say hello and walk away. Go ahead and use our guide to discard to explore, and then at this exploration, on your checks to close your location, add a D6. So looking in again, we find an ogre needing a combat of 14 to defeat. Before acting, each local character suffers 1 combat damage. So we will reveal our bracers of protection. When you suffer combat damage, freely reveal to reduce it by 1, so we will take no damage. And then for the attack, we use a force missile. We'll get to use our arcane plus 2d4. So that will be a d12 plus 2d4, and we will be adding 2 to that. Looking for a 14. We will go ahead and add a blessing into that to get us another D12. So 11, 13, whoops, 14, 18, so a 20. She has force missiled the heck out of this ogre, and he is out of that location. And once again, in order to recharge this, we automatically get that done. So we'll put that at the back of our deck and draw, well, we will go ahead and also use our Staff of Minor Healing to recharge, to heal a local character. So pick one of these random cards and put that in our deck and shuffle. And after shuffling, draw back up to 6. So for Mary's turn, she'll start by exploring over here, seeing we have a locked door, which is probably something we need her to tend to anyway. Advance the hour. If you are at a wildlife location, which we won't be, you may discard to explore. So she'll move over and attempt unlocking the door. On the check to defeat, you may recharge an axe or bludgeoning weapon to add 1d8. So we will reveal our great axe to get us a d12 for our strength melee, plus another d12, plus 1, and then we will recharge this bludgeoning weapon to add another d8. So we are looking for an 11 to unlock the door. By unlock, I assume they mean bash it down. So we have more than needed. Let's see. If defeated, remove the Scourge Entangled from this location. You may explore. So we've knocked down the door, and we may explore again. So we will explore in and find our first henchman. So we have a Kobold champion, need a 12 to beat him. Before acting, we need to succeed at an intelligence, craft, disable, or perception 5-up check, or suffer D4 poison damage. So, let's see what we have for these. Intelligence gets us a D6. Craft and disable or perception, we don't know what those are. So we'll be rolling a D6, hoping for a 5. And since we can potentially lose all the cards in our hands, we are going to have Sione bless this check to give us an additional D6 die. And let's see here. So we're looking for a 5 or better. Doubling it will work. So we're good for that. So now we can go into our attack. So once again, we're going to have a D12 plus another D12 plus 1 plus another 2 because of our stats. So 2 D12s plus 3. And that is going to be what we have to roll. Looking for 12. But in this case, 2 of them. So 24 plus a 3, a little bit of overkill, but that's fine for us. So he is removed from the stack, and now we get to attempt to close. Need to succeed at a Constitution or Fortitude 6-up check. That will be a D8 plus 1 for us. We have nothing to boost with, so it's down to 1 die roll. Getting a 2 plus 1. So we will use our luck stone instead on your check. Bury to reroll. So we will bury that card and try harder. Needing a 5 on this roll to succeed. 8 plus 1. That will do it, and this location is now closed. We'll discard the remaining cards, and both of us will move over to the tower. That was closed, so we'll call that a day and draw 2 cards. Getting a blessing and a chain shirt. So on to Sione. I believe we'll look over here and see there's naughty nobles that she needs to look with. We'll see what the hour is going to do for us. When you would discard a boon to bless a strength or constitution check, you may recharge it instead. And she will move over here and try to be diplomatic, needing a 7 or higher to succeed. If you're in an urban location, the difficulty to defeat is increased by 4. And our ruin is in an urban place, so we will need an 11 to pass this. So in this case, Amiri will return the favor, blessing this attempt to give Sione 2 D6s plus 2 each to try to get an 11 to address these haughty nobles. Sorry, I think I said naughty nobles. It sounded better. So, needing an 11 with these 2 dice. So we got an 11 showing, plus the additional we would have had in there. So we have dispatched this barrier. Defeated, you may summon and encounter a new boon of any type. So we're going to hail some spells here and see what happens. So taking a random spell card, we get the Firebolt. So Intelligence Arcane, Our arcane is going to be a D12 plus 2. So we'll see what happens here. That will be an 11. So we will add a firebolt to our list of spells. Let's see here. We do have 4 cards here, so we'll go ahead and banish our elixir of healing to heal ourselves 1d4 plus 1 cards. So a die roll gives us a 1 plus 1, so we can heal 2 cards. So we'll randomize these, put 2 in our discard pile, 2 will get shuffled back into our deck. And we have 5 cards, so we will draw 1, getting a blessing, and pass turn. So for Mary's turn, we will explore over here, finding another henchman. So a Clockwork Guardian will need a 15 to succeed, immune to mental and poison, and vulnerable to electricity. If undefeated, weapons and armors that were revealed, reloaded, recharged, or discarded on the check to defeat are buried instead. If defeated, draw a new weapon. So definitely would like a blessing for that, and currently we do not have one in hand. Sione does have one, but to close this location we need to summon and defeat the danger. Let's see, so that's going to be a dexterity wisdom of 9 or acrobatics perception of 7. Let's see, dexterity, wisdom, those are both D6s, and acrobatics, perception, we don't know what those are. So we're definitely going to need a blessing for that, and unfortunately, we just have one available to us for right now. I think I'll put him back on, yep. So he's just going to stay there for a little bit till we can prep our hand a little bit better. So instead, we'll have her just explore here at the tower. Taking a look at the hour. On your check against an outsider card, add a D4. So what do we have in here? We have a cave lizard. Combat of 13 or higher. If proficient with armors, add a D6 to the combat check. We are currently not proficient with armor. Damage, though, is increased by a D4. So, for our combat check, we will be getting 2d12s plus 1 plus 2. Kind of want to beat this thing up. So we'll go ahead and add a blessing for 3d12s. Being 11, 14, 17. So I'm glad we had the blessing, and this monster is defeated. And with that, we will end the turn, drawing a card, finding a blessing. For Sione's turn, check the hour. On your check, you may discard a card to reroll 1 die showing a 1 or 2. Not being not being prepared for what we know is back here. We'll move over this direction and see what we get. Lost local. Charisma diplomacy of 5. Survival 7. So we will be charismatic with these lost locals using a D12 plus 2. So we need a 3 or better on this. Getting ourselves an 8. So a total of 11. We have assisted the lost locals, so they can be removed from the stack. So we will go ahead and discard to examine the top card of your location, then shuffle the location, then you may explore. So we are going to examine and find the Evil Eye, which has a trigger effect. Let's see, when examined, suffer the scourge dazed, then banish this barrier. Cannot be evaded. All right, so let's look through our scourges and see what dazed is. All right, you may not examine locations. If you explored this turn, you may not explore again. If you didn't suffer the scourge on this turn, at the end of your turn, shuffle your hand into your deck and remove this scourge. Alrighty. Typically there's a token we can mark on here in case a couple people get the same token, but we'll just use the card to remember. Evil Eye is banished. We cannot explore anymore this turn. Our turn is over. We will draw back up to 6. And then move over to Amiri's turn. And I think we have a blessing in each of our hands, so we'll go ahead and reveal our hour. On each check, the first blessing play to bless may be played freely. What that means is we'll be able to play 2 blessings on a turn versus just 1. And we're going to move over here and attempt taking out the Clockwork Guardian. Revealing our axe will give us a D12 plus 2, then another D12 plus 1. And we're going to go ahead and bless this, giving us 3 D12s, looking for 15. So we have more than enough. If defeated, draw a new weapon. Throw him over here. Look through our weapon stack. Do some randomizing. And reveal a shock glaive. So what do we got here? For a combat check, reveal to use strength melee plus a D4 or D10 plus a D4. You remove 1 D4 and the electricity trait. If proficient, you may additionally discard to reroll. After playing this weapon, it's pretty decent. So we'll add that to our hand, putting the weapons away. And now an attempt to close it. We need to summon and defeat the danger. Which unfortunately, we've already looked at this stuff. Dexterity or wisdom, we need a 9. And acrobats and perception, we don't have. So we need a 9 rolling just a D6. So we're going to have Sione bless this to give us 2d6. We're still hoping for a pretty good roll to get this done. A 6 plus 4 will be the pretty good roll we need. So we got 10, needed 9. And that will close our ruin location. Moving those cards from play. And Mary will run back over to the tower. So the bad news, my original plan to defeat the other 2 first, shuffle a new monster into another location. So we'll go through our monster deck, do some randomizing. Pull out a monster and then shuffle that into the tower location. We got 4 cards left in that and plenty of time to go through it, hopefully. But we're going to use our horse and Discard to explore. In this exploration, on your first check, add a d4. So no matter what this check is, we're getting a lucky d4. We found a ghost. Need a combat check of 13 or divine of 7. Immune to mental and poison. All damage is mental damage that may not be reduced. The check to defeat does not have the magic trait. This monster is undefeated. That could be a problem. So, none of our weapons in hand are magical. But we will have to do the attack anyway to see if we take damage. So we will get our 2d12s plus 3 plus the d4 because we rode our horse into this thing. It gets us a 18, total of 21. So we will not take damage, but the monster's undefeated and gets shuffled back into the location deck. And after that, we will end our turn and just draw up a card. Found a crowbar. For her hour, we have when you heal, you may heal an additional card. Let's see if we can do some healing. Nope, nothing in her hand to help heal. No blessings. We will go ahead and explore, finding a possible bodyguard, needing a charisma, diplomacy, or fortitude check of 6. Even though we're dazed, we're still very diplomatic. So we will roll a d12 plus 2 and see if we can convince this bodyguard to join our adventure. So we obtained a 12. We can say hello to our bodyguard. So when a local character suffers damage, recharge reduced by 3. That's pretty impressive. Discard to explore. This exploration, when you suffer damage, reduce it by 2. It's a pretty good card. Kind of like that. So back from last turn when we got dazed, if we didn't suffer this scourge on this turn, at the end of your turn, shuffle your hand into your deck and remove this scourge. So we are no longer dazed. Shuffle our hand into our deck. And we will draw 6 cards. So on to Amiri. Blessing for the turn. You would discard a boon to bless a strength or constitution check. You may recharge it instead. We will explore and hope it's not a ghost. Hey, we found the ghost again. We will use our Great Bane Axe again for the 2d12 plus 3. Getting a total of 19. Plus the modifier be 22. So we won't take wounds, but we didn't kill it. We'll shuffle it back into the deck. Let's see here. Go ahead and discard the crowbar to end our turn and draw up to 4. Finding a warhammer. We are armor and weapon heavy. Just realized I overlooked this before. We did have a magic weapon earlier. So I've messed up that twice now. I'm sure everyone else online has seen that, but now it's official. I've messed it up twice. If we see that guy again, when I pop him up, we'll just say he's dead. And move on to Sioni's turn. On your plus check, you may reroll any dice showing a 1. We have a blessing card needing arcane. It's the item we'll use. We need a 5 to succeed. Rolling a d12 plus 1. So that is a 7. So we will gain this blessing. And then we will use an ally so that we can explore again. This exploration on charisma non-combat and diplomacy non-combat traits. Add a d6. Here's this ghost that should have been dead a while ago, which means we have one card left, and it's the Diabolical Imp. Combat at 10, Arcane Divine of 7. Immune to fire and poison. Before acting, succeed at a wisdom or perception 4 check, or this monster is undefeated. So for our wisdom, we get a d6. We will go ahead and bless that. So our wisdom is a d6, so we'll get 2 d6s. Looking for a 4 or better. Getting an 8. So we can proceed with a attack, which will be arcane. Banished to use our, basically we're going to get our arcane d12 plus 2d6. And see what we get. 9, 15, 16, 17. So it didn't matter which one we chose. We beat them both combined together. So removed, we have an empty location. We need to succeed at a wisdom or perception of 5. And this will be recharged. Our wisdom is a d6. And we have nothing to boost that with. So one roll, and then you get a 5 or 6, and we have a 6. So that will close the final location and end this adventure. Sorry I couldn't read the magic text on that card and messed up there earlier, but it all worked out for us. And for a reward, each of us gets a hero point that we can use to add to one of our skills. Hope you enjoyed this playthrough. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.